Have you guys seen the Luke's lightsaber deleted scene from Return of the Jedi? If you haven't, I'd recommend you pause this video and I'm going to post a link below to the scene, and I would recommend watching that before you finish watching this video. But, if you really don't feel like doing that, you can just stick around here and I'm going to recap it a little bit too, but it's better if you just go and watch it for a second. But anyway, so to recap what happens, so the scene kind of starts out with Darth Vader reaching out to Luke with the Force and kind of making an appeal, hey, join me on the dark side. It's the only way, blah, blah, blah. And so it shows Vader really trying, and then the scene cuts to Luke, who's on Tatooine, and he's hooded, and then you hear Luke kind of in the background as he's putting the finishing touches on his brand new lightsaber, and he's using this, like, I don't know, space wrench thingy to do something, tinker with it, and then he turns it on, and so turns it on, and then pushes a few buttons on R2-D2, and then the droids go out and leave, and so it's kind of setting up for the scene when the droids go to Jabba's palace for the first time. So it just adds, I don't know, another minute or so to the movie, but fans kind of have a mixed response on the scene. So the majority of people seem to think it's a really cool scene, and I definitely think so. So again, I'd recommend going over there and watching it. But there's a mixed response of people where some people say, yeah, I can totally see why it's deleted, even if they think it's cool. And other people say, oh, they really should have kept that in, or, of all the changes they've made with special editions, why did they leave this one out? And, well, story-wise, this scene is kind of almost an alternate scene because it provides details to the viewer at a different time. So in the final edit of the film, the first time we see Luke's lightsaber is in that skip scene where he's nodding at everybody, and then after the cue, the lightsaber just pops out of R2-D2 kind of surprisingly, and then Luke catches it. So that's our introduction to the lightsaber in the final cut of the film. But if the director, if George Lucas, if the filmmakers had used this scene, then this scene would have been our introduction to the lightsaber. And it's very different introductions. I mean, in the final version, our introduction is very dynamic, so you don't even see any close-up details on the lightsaber. You just kind of see this little dot kind of pop out of R2-D2, and Luke catches it, and then you get a little glimpse of him holding the lightsaber, and then, but he's kind of occupied, so he can't show it off to the viewer, so he's kind of, he has to battle with it, so you can't get like a close-up on the hilt for very long. As opposed to this other scene, you get a really awesome view close-up on the hilt, and there's the little blinking lights, and when it turns on, it's very dramatic. A lot of the comments on this video are, wow, that was a really cool moment when he turned on the lightsaber. So this deleted scene is more like a mystical kind of scene of wonder with the introduction of the lightsaber, whereas the final version of the film, it's more like, hey, let's just throw the lightsaber into action. Let's put it into action right away. So another thing about it is, if they included this scene, it kind of spoils the surprise of Luke. But I don't know. In a way, it really doesn't, because when you're watching the movie, I know it's hard to think back on the first time you've seen Return of the Jedi, but when you see the droids show up alone, I mean, come on. Like, in the back of your head, you gotta be thinking there's more to it than just R2-D2 and 3PO being there. So you kind of, as the viewer, suspect that Luke's coming somehow, but we haven't seen him in the film up to this point. So I would say the main difference is kind of a different approach to the reveal of the lightsaber. And it's hard to really know which lightsaber reveal is more effective. Um, I mean, I kind of like the idea of this deleted scene actually, but I do have a little problem with that part preceding it with Vader making his appeal to Luke. There's something, it's just, I have this gut feeling about it, and other people have commented on it too, where other people have said, oh, I really don't like the way that Vader says Luke, Luke, like it just comes across kind of cheesy. And yeah, it does. There's something about it that's not quite right, so that may be the reason they didn't include it. But it also might just be that they wanted to introduce the lightsaber in action. So anyway, that's just sort of my quick analysis of that. Let me know what you think of this scene. Do you think it was right that they deleted it? Or do you think that they should have kept this scene in or just gone back later and added it in? Because George Lucas did add a few of those deleted scenes back into the movie later, like that Jabba the Hutt scene in A New Hope. So, yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think.